What's good, YouTube? It's James Jones coming at you one more time with another video. And today I wanted to talk about something that a lot of my clients ask me about, and a lot of people who are potential clients ask about, because it's something that a lot of startups deal with and that can potentially get a lot of them in trouble. And that is the topic of when is someone an independent contractor and when is someone a employee. And so I want to talk about that today. I want to first preface this by saying that this is not legal advice. The way that independent contractor status is determined is through the laws of the state that you are operating in or incorporated in, or where the person is living, depending on the situation. So I'm just giving you kind of an educational explanation of how it's very often determined when someone is an independent contractor as opposed to when they are an employee. So let's get started. Now, before we get into explaining how the whole independent contractor and employee thing works, it's probably worth mentioning why this is such a big deal and why companies really want to classify workers as independent contractors. As you may have read from articles and stories about Uber and Lyft and Instacart, and they always want to classify their drivers, their workers, as independent contractors as much as possible. The main reason for this is that it's a cost-cutting situation. Employees, from the employer side, cost more. You have to pay the employer's portion of certain taxes, Social Security tax, Medicare, and so on. You also, depending on what state you're in or how many hours they work or how many employees you have, you may be mandated to provide them with paid sick leave, with benefits like health insurance, dental insurance, life insurance, and disability insurance, and all types of other things. All of those things cost a lot of money. Whereas with independent contractors, none of that, for the most part, is required. And the employer, the business, can save a ton of money by having the person classified as an independent contractor, at which point that contractor is responsible for their insurance, for their tax withholdings, for their payments to the government, and all types of other things that an employer would normally have to do. So let's talk about how to determine if someone is an independent contractor, the way most courts and states do it, at least. Now, the way this is normally determined in most states is they use what's called an ABC test. And this is a three-part test that courts will use to determine if someone is an independent contractor and if someone is an employee. Now, the three-part test works this way. Part one is determining whether or not the contractor, we'll say contractor for now, just assuming that they are. Part one is determining whether or not the contractor has independent agency to complete the job that they are assigned to do without oversight from the person or company who has assigned them to do that job or hired them to do that job. Meaning that they are able to do it the way they need to do it, the way they think is best to get it done in order to reach the conclusion. So it's sort of like the company needs to be hiring them to reach the end goal, not to dictate how they get there. The second part of the ABC test is that the courts will look to determine whether or not the person or company who hired the contractor actually engages in the same or very similar type of work that the contractor is performing. In other words, the company needs to be doing some other type of work than what they hire this contractor to perform for them. Part three of the test is that the contractor performing the work needs to be doing this type of work in the normal course of their business. So this can't necessarily be a one-time thing or some other type of scenario or situation where it was kind of rigged together so that the company can classify them as a contractor as opposed to an employee. So these are the three steps that most courts in most states will use to determine if someone is an independent contractor or if they are an employee. Let's put this in context. Let's say that the easiest scenario to make it really easily understandable is I run a business. Let's say I run a bakery. and my bakery is having some plumbing problems. We are not in the plumbing business, which means that hiring a plumber and bringing a plumber in to do work most likely satisfies part two of the test, in that this is not what we do. So we're hiring them to do something that we don't normally do. We bake. The plumber has the agency to complete the job the way that they feel is best. All we can say is, this drain is clogged and we will pay you to make it not be clogged by the time you're done. And they can't tell you how to do it, what is the best way to do it. They might be able to say, you can only come after hours, or you can only come between these times because that's what works for our schedule. But they can't tell you what wrenches to use, what parts to use, how you're supposed to do the job, micromanage you, none of that stuff. So part one is satisfied there. And then part three, we're assuming that Joe the plumber is engaged in this line of work. This is what they do 8 hours a day, every day for the past 20 years. And so that satisfies part three. So that's our very easy explanation of how you can satisfy an independent contractor status determination for someone that many courts would accept as being valid. I hope that you learned something from this video. Again, this is only educational information. Do not take this as legal advice, because the laws of your state determine how independent contractor status is figured out. And so that's something that you need to work with a lawyer in your state, or a lawyer familiar with the laws of your state. But if you have any thoughts or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. If you enjoy this video and learn something from it, please like the video, please subscribe to the channel. And if you want to know some more information about me and about my firm, Elevate Law, where we focus on helping early stage startups, please click the link in the description, and that'll take you to our site, and you can learn all about what Elevate Law does. Hope this was enjoyable and informational, and please come back for more learning and videos next time. Thanks. Take care.